Welcome, dear viewers, to a digital campfire where the logs crackle not with warmth, but with unease. Gather close if you dare as we delve into the darkest corners of Reddit, a place where anonymity gives birth to confessions both chilling and unexplainable. Tonight we journey into the abyss of human experience where fear is not a figment of our imagination, but a terrifying reality. These stories are not for the faint of heart, so proceed with caution. What you are about to hear are the real-life accounts of people who have stared into the void and lived to tell the tale. Prepare yourselves, for the shadows of Reddit await. Our first tale takes us to the heart of suburbia, a place where manicured lawns and white picket fences often mask the darkness lurking beneath. Our narrator, a seemingly ordinary homeowner, began to notice something unsettling. A fleeting shadow in the corner of their eye, always present in the basement. At first they dismissed it as tricks of the light, an overactive imagination fueled by the basement's inherent creepiness, but the shadow persisted, growing bolder, more defined. It seemed to shift and move with a sentience that sent shivers down their spine. Days turned into sleepless nights as the homeowner grappled with mounting fear. They'd find small, unexplainable occurrences, a tool out of place, a faint musty odor in the air. The feeling of being watched intensified, a constant pressure on their chest every time they ventured into the basement. One night, the homeowner awoke to a sound that chilled them to the bone, a slow, deliberate creak coming from the basement door. Their heart pounded in their chest as they reached for their phone, their hand trembling as they dialed 911. Clutching the phone like a lifeline, the homeowner crept towards the basement door, each step amplified by the deafening silence of the house. They could hear their own ragged breathing, a stark contrast to the measured, deliberate sounds coming from below. As police arrived, sirens wailing in the night, the homeowner's terror reached a fever pitch. The officers, faces grim, cautiously descended into the basement's depths, their flashlights cutting through the oppressive darkness. What they discovered was not a figment of the homeowner's imagination but a chilling reality. Hidden in the shadows behind a makeshift wall was a person, a real, living person. They had been living in the homeowner's basement for weeks, their presence masked by the shadows, their silence a weapon of terror. The homeowner, forever marked by this experience, learned a chilling truth. Sometimes the monsters we fear the most aren't supernatural entities, but flesh and blood individuals lurking in the shadows of our own homes. Our next story revolves around an object many find inherently unsettling, a doll. This isn't just any doll, though. This is a doll imbued with a darkness that seems to seep into the very fabric of reality. The Redditor recounted how they acquired the doll from an antique shop, drawn to its porcelain face and piercing blue eyes. It was a beautiful doll, no doubt, but something about it felt off. Almost immediately after bringing the doll home, strange things began to happen. Objects would move inexplicably, lights flickered, and the Redditor would wake in the night to the sound of whispers, soft and chilling, seeming to emanate from the doll itself. At first they tried to rationalize these events, blaming drafts, faulty wiring, even sleep paralysis. But the incidents escalated, becoming more frequent, more intense. The whispers grew louder, more menacing, and the doll seemed to be changing. The Redditor described how the doll's eyes, once a bright, innocent blue, began to take on a malevolent glint. The porcelain skin seemed to pale, becoming almost translucent, and a faint, sickly sweet smell like decaying flowers clung to the doll, permeating the air around it. One morning, the Redditor awoke to find the doll positioned at the foot of their bed, its lifeless eyes staring up at them with an unnerving intensity. Panic surged through them, a primal fear they couldn't explain. They knew, with a certainty that defied logic, that they had to get rid of the doll. Driven by terror, the Redditor tried everything to dispose of the doll, throwing it away, trying to give it away, even attempting to burn it. But the doll always returned, appearing on their doorstep, in their car, even in their office desk drawer. Desperate, the Redditor sought help from paranormal investigators, religious figures, anyone who might offer solace or explanation. But the doll's hold on them remained unbroken, a constant reminder that some things cannot be explained, only endured. To this day, the Redditor continues to share their story, a chilling testament to the power of objects and the unseen forces that may lurk within them. It serves as a stark warning that some curiosities are best left undisturbed, lest we invite something sinister into our lives. College, a time of newfound freedom, exploration, and for some, unimaginable horror. Our next story takes us into the claustrophobic confines of a dorm room, where the lines between reality and nightmare blur. The story unfolds through the terrified posts of a college student, their words painting a chilling picture of their missing roommate. It began subtly, with small, easily dismissed oddities, their roommate's belongings slowly disappearing, hushed whispers late at night, and an unsettling feeling of being watched. The Redditor, initially attributing these occurrences to their roommate's eccentricities, dismissed their concerns. However, as days turned into weeks, a sense of dread began to gnaw at the edges of their mind. Their roommate became increasingly withdrawn, their once vibrant personality now shrouded in an unsettling silence. One evening, the Redditor returned to their dorm to find the door ajar, a cold metallic scent hanging heavy in the air. Their stomach lurched as they stepped inside, their heart pounding a frantic rhythm against their ribs. The room was eerily silent, devoid of the usual sounds of their roommate's presence. As they ventured deeper into the room, their eyes fell upon a scene that sent a shockwave of terror through their body. A dark, viscous liquid, unmistakably blood, stained the floor, leading towards the closet door, which hung open at an unnatural angle. Paralyzed with fear, the Redditor could only stare at the horrifying scene before them. The metallic scent intensified, filling their nostrils, choking them with the undeniable truth. Something terrible had happened to their roommate. Frantically, they searched the room, their desperate cries for their roommate met with a chilling silence. The room was empty, stripped bare of any sign of their roommate's existence, save for the bloodstains that served as a gruesome testament to their disappearance. The police investigation yielded no answers, leaving the Redditor trapped in a nightmare of unanswered questions. Their roommate vanished without a trace, leaving behind a chilling mystery that continues to haunt the halls of the university to this day. Our final tale takes us deep into the unforgiving wilderness where darkness holds more than just the absence of light. It's the story of a lone hiker, their Reddit post a chilling reminder that not all who wander are lost, and some paths are better left untraveled. The hiker, an avid outdoorsman, set out for a night hike under a canopy of stars, seeking solace in the solitude of nature. The trail, familiar and comforting, wound its way through dense woodland, the only sounds the whisper of the wind through the trees and the crunch of leaves beneath their boots. Hours into their hike, the hiker noticed a faint light flickering in the distance. As they drew closer, the outline of a figure materialized from the darkness, their form illuminated by a flickering lantern. Relief washed over the hiker. Company in the vast wilderness offered a sense of security. The stranger, their face obscured by the shadows of their wide-brimmed hat, greeted the hiker with an unsettlingly cheerful demeanor. Their voice, a raspy whisper that seemed at odds with their jovial tone, sent a shiver down the hiker's spine. As they walked, the stranger shared stories of the woods, tales woven with local lore and unsettling encounters. The hiker, though initially captivated by the stranger's knowledge, couldn't shake the feeling of unease that clung to them like a shroud. The stranger's cheerfulness seemed forced, their eyes, glinting in the lantern light, held a predatory hunger that set the hiker on edge. The path, once familiar, now seemed to twist and turn with unnatural angles, leading them deeper into the heart of the woods. With each passing moment, the hiker's unease intensified, morphing into full-blown terror. They realized, with chilling clarity, that they had strayed far from the trail, lost in a labyrinth of trees with a stranger who was anything but friendly. Mustering their courage, the hiker made an excuse to break away, their voice trembling as they fabricated a story about needing to return. The stranger, their smile faltering for a moment, offered to accompany them back to the trailhead. Panic surging through them, the hiker knew they had to act quickly. They broke into a run, their backpack feeling like a lead weight on their back. The stranger's laughter, a chilling high-pitched sound, echoed through the trees, chasing them into the darkness. The hiker, their lungs burning, didn't stop running until they burst out of the tree line, the familiar lights of the trailhead a beacon of safety in the distance. They never looked back, the memory of the stranger's laughter forever etched into their mind, a chilling reminder of the darkness that lurks at the edges of civilization. Thank you for joining us on this terrifying journey through some of Reddit's most disturbing horror stories. These tales, whispered from the depths of the internet, serve as chilling reminders that the line between reality and nightmare is often blurred. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more spine-tingling tales. We have so much more to explore in the abyss of human experience where fear reigns supreme. Stay safe and remember, sometimes reality is scarier than fiction. Sleep tight and try not to let the shadows whisper your name.